Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we sift through corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into a proxy statement from bioAffinity Technologies, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. Reverse stock splits, warrant exercises, authorized share increases. It's like they're playing corporate bingo. But before we jump in, if you're into understanding the real story behind these documents, smash that subscribe button. It really helps out. Also, come join our Discord community, link in the description. Let's get started. Scroll Sesco Tivol 14 air scroll. This document is a Schedule 14A, which means it's a proxy statement. Companies send these out to stockholders before annual meetings to get their votes on important issues. bioAffinity Technologies is having its annual meeting in July of 2025. First, stockholders will be voting on who gets to be on the board of directors. They'll elect 7 people to serve on the board. Second, they're asking stockholders to ratify or approve their choice of Withum Smith Blass Brown PC as their accounting firm. This is like checking if the stockholders agree with who's keeping the company's financial books. Then things get interesting. They want approval for a reverse stock split. This is where they take a bunch of existing shares and combine them into fewer shares. For example, their reverse stock split can be at a ratio of 1-for-2 to 1-for-10, or whatever, just one share, it makes the stock price go up. The reverse stock split can be at a ratio of 1-for-2 to 1-for-100. The board will decide the final ratio. They also want to approve the issuance of shares related to some warrants. Warrants give the holder the right to buy shares at a certain price, and these warrants were issued in a private placement, which is when a company sells stock to a select few investors, not the general public. Next, they want to increase the number of shares of common stock that they're authorized to issue from 100 million to 350 million. That's a big jump. Also needing approval, an anti-dilution provision tied to warrants issued in their May 2025 public offering. An anti-dilution provision will protect these warrant holders if the company issues more shares at a lower price, which is known as a dilutive issuance. If such thing happens, the exercise price of the warrant will be reduced, meaning lower price to buy the stock from the warrant, and the amount of shares that people can buy will increase. And finally, they're asking for the ability to adjourn the meeting or postpone it if they don't have enough votes for these proposals. Here is a summary table of what the board recommends. For all the proposals, they recommend voting for. If you hold your shares through a broker, it's important to tell them how you want to vote. Otherwise, they might not vote on some of these proposals. This is called a broker non-vote. The board has several committees, including the Audit Committee, which oversees the company's accounting and financial reporting. Also very important to mention is the company has a code of ethics that applies to all the company's directors, officers, and employees. Let's scroll now to the director nominees. We can see the board is made up of 7 people and read a bit about each one. Time for the numbers. Let's quickly run by what the company paid their independent registered public accounting firm Withum for the 23. In 2024, audit fees were about $294,000 and audit-related fees were $35,000. The audit committee has to pre-approve all services provided by the accounting firm to make sure they remain independent. Now for the interesting part, the reverse stock split. A reverse stock split reduces the number of outstanding shares and increases the stock price. bioAffinity needs to do this because they got a notice from Nasdaq that they weren't meeting the minimum bid price requirement. They need to get their stock price back up above $1 It also can have a potential anti-takeover effect because it's harder to take over a company with a higher stock price. A reverse stock split doesn't always work. It can decrease liquidity and it can lead to some shareholders owning odd lots, which are less than 100 shares. If the reverse stock split happens, each share of common stock will have the same voting rights and rights to dividends and distributions and will be identical in all other respects to the common stock now authorized. Of course, there are tax implications, but they're pretty standard. A reverse stock split generally shouldn't trigger a taxable event for most shareholders. Another key proposal is the approval of a warrant exercise. The company issued warrants in connection with a private placement that closed in February 2025, and they need stockholder approval to actually issue the shares when these warrants are exercised. This is because of Nasdaq listing rules. They require stockholder approval for certain issuances of stock, and if they don't get it, they might not be able to get the $2.5 million they're expecting. Of course, if this proposal is approved, the current stockholders will take a hit, as approval of the warrant would mean dilution in their ownership interests in the future. Another proposal is to increase the number of authorized shares. This proposal also asks for the approval of an anti-dilution provision tied to the warrants issued on May 7, 2025, with an exercise price reduction to a minimum of $0.21 per share, should such circumstances appear. The final proposal would allow the board to adjourn the meeting if they need more time to get the votes they need. Moving on, let's take a quick look at the company's directors and executive officers. Time for the numbers. Let's quickly run by what the company paid their independent registered public accounting firm Witham for the years 2024 and 2023. In 2024, audit fees were about $294,000 and audit-related fees were $35,000. If you're thinking about submitting a proposal for next year's meeting, you will have to keep in mind some deadlines. This section will go through what the company paid its top executives. Here's the important summary compensation table. Maria Zanis, the president and CEO, made about $477,000 in 2024, and Stephen Girgenti, the executive chairman, made about $307,000. These are the base salaries without stock awards, bonuses, and compensations that executives get. The annual base salaries of the company's NEOs were Ms. Zans made around $300K in that period, J. Michael $300K too, and Mr. Girgenti $120K. The annual bonus awards for fiscal 2024 under the bonus plan for all of our named executive officers were based on the following performance measures. Is securing adequate financing with a performance weighting of 25%, E, generating sales and profit from precision pathology laboratory services with a performance weighting of 4%, IC, advancing a collaborative relationship with the Department of Defense with a securing adequate financing with a performance weighting of 5%, I, advancing a collaborative relationship with the Department of Defense with a for securing adequate financing with a performance weighting of 25%, I, advancing a collaborative relationship with the performance weighting of 5%, I, advancing a collaborative relationship with the Department of Defense with a performance weighting of 5%, E. They don't have a formal policy when to award options related to material non-public information. Here we can take a look at who got what. Finally, this part explains how much the directors get paid, an annual cash retainer of $25,000. The company also gives additional annual cash of $10,000 for the chairman of the board, $5,000 for the audit committee chair, etc. An annual equity grant of restricted stock with a grant date value of approximately $75,000 also is a part of that. Who owns the company's stocks? Here we get a glimpse to see who is the true owner. With more than 5% of shares, Mr. Girgenti with around 6% of shares, and Mr. Rubin with a little over 4%. Were there any family relationships? Timothy Zanis, brother of Maria Zanis, our chief executive officer, has been employed by the company as general counsel and secretary. For the 2026 annual meeting, stockholder proposals must be received no later than February 2026. That's our deep dive into this bioAffinity Technologies proxy statement. It seems like a lot of these actions are focused around increasing the stock price and bringing things into compliance. They're also trying to secure more shares in case future opportunities arise. So bioAffinity is at a critical point, needing to get its stock price up. The reverse split and authorized share increase give them flexibility, but it also shows they might need more funding. The reliance of securing adequate financing and generating sales sounds pretty concerning overall to. While bioAffinity may have its challenges, it also has a lot of opportunities, particularly in early cancer diagnostics. The key is whether bioAffinity can actually deliver on those technological advancements. For the stock, I would estimate a price range around $1 due to the reverse split and other initiatives going on video function diagnostics. The key is whether bioAffinity can actually deliver on those technological advancements. For the stock, I would estimate a price range around $1 due to the reverse split and other initiatives going on. So, what do you think of bioAffinity's strategy? Are these moves going to save the company? Jump into the comments below and tell me your thoughts. If you found this corporate decoding helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth analysis. Join the Discord in the description below, and thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one.